Buddy, your sister's out of control. No, which one? I'm not sure. The Liael one. Which one? Oh, there's two. There's two. Wait, the judge says I'm out of time. Oh, divine skill. I'm out of turn. Get the fuck out of here. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Season 4 here. Welcome back to DZBTO5. It is Omniscience Awakening. Now, I've been boring all of you for the past week with my two uploads. That would be Eugene is the best deck and You've Worked. But today we get to the real meat, the real sauce, the real pedophile bait of this set. It is Liael Odium. And today we have baited someone. Today we have Fade of Off. Welcome back, Fade of Off.
I only will answer you on my next turn.
Alright. So the thing is that Liael now has two decks. It's a Dark States deck and a Keta deck. And the fun news is obviously the Dark States deck is more expensive because when you pin anything in black, all the guys, they stand up. But why is this deck so overpriced? Is it because DZBTO5 is too well selling, or is it because this thing is secretly meta? So today we're gonna get into it. Just to put this out there, there is a few ways to build Liael in terms of her generic support. I know some people will swear by different things and some people can't afford different things. So I'm just going to put this here in the premise that there is enough space in Liael for you to consider other methods of building Liael. But the main core is still here, right? It's only one set. It's mostly out of the box. So today we're just going to be using that. If you can't afford Dark States staples, welcome to Dark States. Just build Bruce. Links in the description. Okay, so let's get it. Hey, don't laugh at the Bruce video, okay? M Crafter did a wonderful job. I'm hoping to get him here before he drops by Tokyo to beat down Miltai for Christmas. So hope you're back here, and then we can get his autograph. He's a really smelly guy. Okay, so we'll start off with the energy. Where's my energy? Let me misplace it.
Yeah, energy.
Where's my energy?
Where is my energy? I know I don't have any energy.
Oh, it's here. Okay, yeah. So this is my. We'll start with the right deck. This is the energy generator. You already know what it does. Links description for my device explain video. The only thing you need to know about this deck is that for energy, we're using a really interesting interval of 2 energy now. And that's because of this guy, which you will see later. This is Anachronous Dragon, right?
Yeah.
So Anachronous Dragon is really cool because he looks like Lost Legend. Smells like him too.
He's drawn by the same.
He's drawn by Lost Legends artists too, so that's the main reason why I'm doing this deck profile. If not, I wouldn't want to be arrested by Child Protective Services. So other than that, just know that most of your cards in this set, because they use EV2, and I think clockwise too is EV3, but you would not realistically play 4 color, right? Is that your name?
You can't really play.
You can't really play 4 color. Okay.
Force the loss out of the party.
So at least we get that out.
That's one Dark State staple though.
One Dark State stable down, 12 more to go. We'll start off with our starter. Our starter, we have Gear Quetzal. Gear Quetzal is the wrong starter. I mean, it always is the wrong starter because in the first place, who is this and why did they spend so much time in the lore to specify that the bird is a girl? I don't care. I want to play a real Dark State starter. I want to play a starter with some teeth. Chrono Dren. So just remember, in case you're playing this deck, just get Chrono Dren. It's only 200 yen. Buy it before the Chronos Command people wake up. Yeah, Chrono Dren. Welcome back to Dark States. And you see, they're in the same place. So like, did you really lose anything buying this starter? No, you get a piece of Dark States legacy right here, man. He's a 10-year-old card. What the hell is this? It's a bird. God. Alright, moving on, we have Steam Maiden Tiglet. Steam Maiden brought to you by the makers of Steam Maidens. They are back. Of course, as you probably know, there is one more Steam Maiden in this deck. There's this one. But we won't talk about it yet. Steam Maiden Tiglet, which is wrote on top of a grade 0. Surprising. I'm not sure why I wrote on top of a grade 1.
You review in your right deck that you are playing, that you have a Liael grade 3, and then you get to set the Destined Timepiece set order from your token zone into the order zone.
Yeah.
And that's basically all she does.
You want to talk about it?
No, I mean the Destined Timepiece, the Destined Timepiece only ability is that you cannot. It's the same as the system code exit. So, just like in Bordeaux, you are not allowed to write any other grade 3 that is not Liael for the rest of this game.
So it's like Ezel.
Yeah. Okay. It's like Ezel. It's like in Bordeaux. It's like your crest restriction, that the strike deck's crest restriction, and all it does is just lets you have regress gauge.
What is regress gauge?
I'll explain it. I'll explain what regress gauge is later. We get onto the grade 2.
Life Cessation Colossus, which is probably a card that will get its name changed in English because there's no way there's no way Bushiroad English will approve a card that's called Kill Yourself Colossus. Its skill is very simple. When rolled upon, when it writes.
When it writes on top of Diglett,
you can choose one card from your hand and put it into your regress gauge, and if you do, you draw 2 cards. So
Yes.
it is a cool pot of greed. It's quite good, but the downside for this, and I think people who've actually played Destined Odium can agree with me on it, it taxes your current hand quite badly. Like, you have to discard to write and then gauge immediately. You don't get to trigger any other skill to draw first. Immediately at that point in time, after your opponent's grade 1 attack, then you get to gauge, which sometimes your hands are not very good. We'll just put it out of the way just so everyone knows. The best targets you want to gauge will be Mr. Anachronous or Distorted the Bane. Yes, we have the FR, so channel memberships are $3 and $5, help us. But yeah, so these are the main 2 targets, right? Am I missing anyone? Yeah, these are the main 2 targets you want for the skill of this grade 2 for Life Cessation Colossus. But good news, everyone, we actually do have a searcher for it.
Yes.
Somewhat.
So
we'll get to that later.
Yeah, but basically what regress gauge is, so now I can explain, because now we'll start putting stuff into regress gauge. So regress gauge is it's exactly the same as the automod gauge that Impaldio has. So it's a zone in your it's an area in your order zone that you can't really interact with that much.
That's a lie.
Okay, no, but that much. So you can interact with it a lot more than you can for the automod gauge, but it's basically just cards that just will keep stacking on top of each other in the order zone as your regress gauge. So you just have to take, so they are public information, so your opponent can see wherever they are. It's just they're just going to be stacked in like a line next to your order zone. So just keep note that when you're playing this deck, just make sure that they have a area near your order zone that your opponent can see where all your regress gauge is and stuff, so they can keep track. But basically, just like Impaldio, Liael will also need to keep track of the cards that he has in the regress gauge, because having certain cards in the regress gauge will give Odium a lot of benefits later on.
Yes, and we will meet them very soon. But first, Liael Odium.
Yeah, Destined One Of Time, Liael Odium. So Liael is back, just like her Fated One counterpart. She is basically here to steal as much Gear Chronicle copyright before Chronojet comes to slap her with the lawsuit.
And Kronos command bot nuke, cease and desist.
Yeah, so Odium's first skill is a continuous for each copy of Distorted Bane in your regress gauge zone. All of your front row rear guards gain 5,000 power.
Okay, I'm just gonna quick flash here. It is the regress gauge zone. Okay, so if it gets bound, doesn't count. If it's retired, doesn't count. Only this specific zone, then you get the effect. How does Distorted Bane go into the regress gauge? We'll show you later.
Yeah, then its second ability, which is the most important one, is that when it attacks, you Soul Blast 1 and you choose either one of your rear guards or one card from your hand and put it into your regress gauge. This unit gains +1. This unit gains the triple drive keyword until the end of the turn.
It's Majesty Lord Blaster. Oh, but yes, because it's the triple drive word, you can actually use Elementaria Sanctitude. So for all of you who are actually buying up Elementaria Sanctitude, good job. You finally have a deck to use it against, and it's not Harri.
And just remember, this is the original Elementaria, not the other one.
Yeah, the other one doesn't count, right?
The other one can't be used for this because you don't have a crest. You don't have a crest that's not the energy generator crest.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
And then obviously because it's a Destined one, there's also a divine skill. So this is a divine skill in case you've been asleep since last year. It's a skill that is once per game, so you can only activate. So even if you decide to for some reason play Bloody Mire in this deck, I don't know why. You can't use another divine skill. So you can only use one divine skill per game, no matter which unit you end up using. So
yeah, that is an important fact for a future deck.
Yeah, so her skill is at the end of the battle that she attacks, if your regress gauge has 5 or more cards, you get to discard 2 cards from your hand, and at the end of this current turn, you start an additional turn. And during this additional turn, this unit gains the player gain the ability that your Vanguard will gain drive -1 until the end of the turn, which means that, let's say like you stay on Liael because obviously you can't write anything, there's not a Liael Vanguard, your drive will go from 2 to 1. So remember, triple drive is until the end of the turn, which means that means that she's still a twin drive unit, so you just -1 drive, so you go to 1 drive, and then when Liael attacks again, You Soul Blast once, you use the skill, then it gains triple drive, but it's triple drive minus 1 drive, so it's still twin drive. Yeah.
So disgusting.
So in the event that you have an opponent that says, oh, because the triple drive overrides the minus 1 drive, means I get 6 drives in one turn. No. Yeah, and then and during that additional turn, there will be no right phase, and there will be no right phase and no main phase, which means there is no energy generation, because the generator specifically states that it's at the beginning of your right phase if it's available, if it's in your crash zone, then you get to gain 3 energy. So you don't gain any energy from this effect, from the extra turn.
Alright, so I just put a timestamp there for the divine skill segment, just so we're all clear. I just wanted to spend additional segment on the divine skill. And another thing is that this card can be really deadly in time rules, because you could use this to stall your opponent, right? You can just take your time, you could pull a cheater move and just stall your opponent and stall and keep asking questions and stall and stall. And since it's your turn twice, it's quite devastating. You can't really time gauge people and lose, which is really scummy. So that's the reason why I want to set this additional segment. The divine skill, if you play it as God intended, well done. I think it's really cool and really fun. But if you're using it for ethical purposes, please, for your opponent, as in the opponents of these players, please do not hesitate to call a judge. I'm sure they will help you in some way. And hopefully you can call Akinatu so he can look for his sister. Don't look at me like that, Akina. Alright, so let's move on to the grade 3s. Our grade 3s, we obviously play 4 copies of Liael Odium. Because Liael Odium is a 3 attack deck, just like my own wife, it is Nightrose. So good job, you are all part of my same hell. I hope you enjoy my hell. So yeah, but unlike Nightrose, who doesn't have cool multi-turn bullshit, you get your persona right. I don't get that. I just get Obadiah spam. Hi, no tie. And then we have 4 copies of Distorted Bane, in case you were wondering. Shit, I need more power. Here you go. Distorted Bane is a 600 yen rare. So for all of you who are planning to buy this for Christmas, good luck. You may have to use your health insurance. Liael Odium's card, the card itself, the order, can only be played if you have a Liael Vanguard. So if you play it, you soul charge 1.
You may soul charge.
And
then you immediately put it into the regress gauge. So this is how you are able to hit 5 gauge by turn 4, because it itself goes into the regress gauge by just playing it as a normal order. So this goes into effect when you play the order.
So it bypasses like, for example, your
average wrestler's ability to tuck it to the bottom of the deck, because part of the skill resolution requires it to go into the gauge. Okay, so for all of you who are my friends, who are friends of Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion, hi, I hope you're doing well. Now, the more dangerous part of regress gauge and why it's a 500 yen rare and a 3000 yen FR is because of its second skill, which is when this card is put in the regress gauge, draw a card and your Vanguard gains 10,000 power. Now, that is actually a separated text. I know you can't really tell from the FR because we actually have money here, but if you actually read the original print, sorry you're poor, is that it's 2 different skill boxes. You know what that means? You can cheat Regress Bane on turn 2. That's a 20k Vanguard and a net 0 draw on top of the draw you gave up for time cessation clauses. So that's a +2. So basically it's a draw 3 and a +10k in your Vanguard.
That's insane, by the way.
But I mean, obviously there's risk to that, because you're losing out of a Distorted Bane in your hand that you could use to ensure that you hit the 5 gauge.
Find another one.
Yeah,
you bought 4. Play 4.
Yeah, you can find another one.
But I mean, this is the extreme hero situation, so
yeah. But Distorted Bane is basically like, if you need an easier explanation, Distorted Bane basically works like the way that Office is able to cheat out its set orders, because it's the set cost and the effect in the order zone are 2 completely separate things. They're completely different set boxes. And if you use, let's say, like you use Polexis Dragon to put like Howling Moonlit Knight or like Eclipse Moonlit Knight into the order zone immediately, then you get to bypass the cost in order to have to play the order, and you still get the effect like draw 1 or make a Shadow Army. So this is the exact same logic, is that so long as it goes into the regress gauge,
You get the 10k.
You get a 10k on the draw. Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yes. Okay.
Honestly, I think this may be the Varga killer. What do you think, guys? Alright, let's actually kill Varga. We have Anachronous Dragon. Anachronous Dragon brought to you by the creators of Lost Legend. Honestly, I'm quite half-edged on this guy. He's really good because there's not many cards the deck can play. But on the other hand though, I'm wondering how he's gonna stay in the deck long run. But let's actually tell you his skill. Anachronous Dragon, at the start of your battle phase, if this card is in the regress gauge and your Vanguard is a Liael.
No. That's only for the second clause. So it just needs to be in the regress gauge. You counter +1 and you choose a card, so it can be anything from your drop and put it into your regress gauge to call this guy out. And you must call this guy out. You cannot just pay the cost and then not call him out. You must call him out.
Oh, we were reading the wrong text. But holy crap, that means you can use it on turn 2?
You can use it on turn. So let's say life cessation clauses, gauges Anachronous. It's the same logic. So Anachronous' first effect is life, which means that if you have a spare CB, you can counter +1, tuck any card from your drop zone. So it could even be Distorted Bane.
Oh no.
Because Distorted Bane, just so you can put, let's say you put Distorted Bane into the regress gauge, then you can call Anachronous out. And Distorted Bane, like we said, so long as it goes into the regress gauge through any ability, as long as it goes from any other zone into the regress gauge, the 10k and the 10k and the draw one will activate.
That is insane.
Yeah, so you can do the full combo, which is have
Anachronous
a regress gauge in the drop, have Anachronous in the regress gauge, then you swap them. Yeah. So then Anachronous goes to field, this goes to your regress gauge, and you gain 10k to your Vanguard and you drop one.
During the battle phase.
So long as you have a CB and you can to put Anachronous into the regress gauge.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, what's his second skill?
His second skill is
the EB2 skill, right?
Is Berserk Dragon.
Oh.
Is when this unit attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Liael Vanguard, this unit gains 5000 power. So it's pretty good. It's typical Dragon Empire shenanigans.
Dragon Empire?
But its second ability is honestly quite stupid, which is that if you have 3 or more regress gauge, which you will always have so long as it's which you should have if you have played a Distorted Bane on your grade 3 turn, and you then gauge and then you attack with Liael, so then you either gauge one of your rear guards or gauge a card from your hand. You energy +2 and you choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Any.
So you get sport move on 3.
Yeah, so it's an 18k plus a blade.
EB2 though.
EB2
is cheaper than EB3, so it's even less than a 1 point advantage.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alright.
So now there's actually been some developments in Anachronous. So previously people were really mad about Anachronous because besides the first skill being basically just combine Rusher for Liael, imagine the thought. But a lot of people were really mad about the second skill because it's it's just retire. It doesn't really advance the game. Until people realize that you can if you use the divine skill plus Anachronous and you have, let's say you have 8 to 10 energy, you can effectively nuke 4 rear guards in the span of 1 turn.
What?
Yeah. You can nuke.
Because 8 divided by 2 is 4.
Yeah.
So it's potentially Draconic Blade Master.
Yeah, you can basically bulk wipe your opponent using all your energy, because this deck doesn't really use that much energy because you don't really play Tisca because that you have risk of decking out, and you can't play Fossilor, you can't really play any of the other.
The only other energy users clockwise.
Yeah, and clockwise is also very optional because if you have other options you have the Skyride Volume 1 promo, then obviously you just play Fila instead of clockwise.
Oh.
Yeah. So Anachronous, that's why Anachronous is really not competing with anyone for energy, which is why you just spam all your energy, nuke your opponent's board, and then you can win through attrition.
Man, that's amazing.
And also because you have a regress gauge in your regress gauge 1, you have 1 regress gauge usually. You have 1 Distorted Bane in your regress gauge usually, and plus Anachronous, that's a 23k attacker already because it gains 5k on its own, no matter what.
That's obscene.
Yeah. So it's really, really very strong.
Alright, let's move on to the other parts of the deck. Then I think we spent too long on the grade 3 segment. Okay, moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s we have Tiglat.
No, that's Life Sensation Colossus. For grade 2.
Oh right, my bad.
Tiglat is for later.
Life Sensation Colossus for the grade 2, followed by a copy of Twin Cast is back. We will also top it off with 4 copies of our own Hanada Halfway clone.
Yeah, it's oh god, his name is escaping me. I don't know why.
And then 4 copies of famed demonic lady Orions. So Orions, as you know, is Orions. It is the Latifa clone. It is the Jackknife clone. So yeah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to watch the later stream. Orions, the skill is very simple. It's basically just Latifa. So when placed on the rearguard circle, other than through a unique card's effect, if you play it all these turns, so blast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, call 1 from among them, same grade less your Vanguard, shuffle the deck. Okay, so if you know who Medius is, this is basically a Medius clone. The second skill of Orions is when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater opponent.
Yeah, grade 3 or greater opponent. Unit.
So blast 3, draw a card, and this unit gains 5.
Yeah.
So it is now Gungun Ram staple on top of Orions.
Yeah,
that's.
And it gets 5k.
And it gets 5.
Yeah, Hikari here. You can post the Hikari 5k here.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, that's really, really strong. But the only downside for Orions in this deck is that you have to wait till turn 3, because even if you gauge your Distorted Bane, again, it does not count as a play. You must play an order card, then you can use the effect, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. But because this is an order reliant deck, Orions is like almost an auto include. I say almost because there's been a lot of discourse about whether is it even worth to play Orions, because you have to hug Orions in your hand
For 3 turns.
3 turns. But I mean honestly, even then, this deck wins usually so long as you have 5 rear guards and you're able to output 3 very strong columns during your normal turn as well as your divine skill turn. You usually are able to win. So anything that lets you superior call from your deck or your soul is basically an auto include in this deck. So either you play Orions or you fork out another $300 and play 4 Rivaltis plus Fila. So you can choose.
Tough life, man.
Yeah, because I'd rather just play Orions on her own, because she works independently together with the rest of the deck, whereas 4 Rivaltis only really profits when you have Fila. Yeah.
Okay, so here is my time to talk about card I can talk about.
It's Almanac Colossus.
Almanac Colossus, who is very similar to Vibatsuka the Overflyer.
Okay, so I'll just put this is what the FR looks like. I'll just put the FR at the bottom so it's easier for you to read this.
Okay, so I'll put the Vibatsuka video link in the description. Again, also similar to my longtime best friend Hanada Halfway, so I'll also link my Avantgarda video link in the description. This is gonna be a very fun description, man. Alright, so let's move on. The skill is very simple. When placed on a rearguard circle, as long as you have a regress, as long as you have a
card in the regress gauge.
Card in the regress gauge, you can count blast 1, draw 1, soul charge 1.
Yeah, and the soul charge is mandatory.
This soul charge is mandatory, and the draw is fun. So yeah, I don't need to explain how good this skill is because I did a whole video about Vibatsuka the Overflyer, so I'm not inclined to talk about it again. But if you have 3 more cards in the regress gauge, this unit gains boost, which means you can now turn this 10k vanilla into a 10k booster, which is really strong considering how a lot of this deck is actually very top heavy.
And it's also the reason why this deck, honestly, unlike a lot of other Dark States decks, this deck doesn't really need to run the Underworld Game of Chess package, because the problem that Dark States has always had is that your grade 1s are complete as. Like, Swirler is your only very big a big grade 1 that can boost for good numbers, and without Swirler, you're basically a sitting duck. And all of your good cards are actually grade 2 and above, which is why there's a lot of decks that actually been playing the festival package of Game of Underworld Chess, the boost package. So you can have 15k booster and you can basically turn your entire top end into boosters if you have to.
Just
but
like
the fact that Colossus is basically just Luster Impart Dragon plus Friendly Broccoli in 1 card. Yeah, I know I dropped a lot of Leonon terminology there. Hello Frostlam.
What?
So, but the problem is that Colossus basically solves the entire problem because you don't need to play the Underworld package anymore. You can just have 3 of these guys in the back row and you basically win.
Damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yep, so... Okay, so my camera crashed while we were filming this, so really good job to Liael Odium for stalling my camera out of time zone, so yeah. Alright, so Regalis Piece is twin cast very simple. The Regalis Piece effect is that, it's just a blitz order that gives your Vanguard 10k power when it's attacked. So, okay, cool, really nice. The second skill is irregardless of the first skill, so even if you didn't use the first skill, it's alright, you can still use the second skill no matter what, which is when your Vanguard's attacked, you can remove this card from your drop zone, choose your Vanguard, and it gains 5,000 power for each grade of your own Vanguard. So if you're grade 3, it gains 15,000 power, if you're Juju Ignis, it gains 20,000 power. Yeah, so it's a nice fast shield. The reason why we play this Regalis Piece Twin Cast is mainly because of the fact that we just wanted cheap defense just to help us through the early game to stop a very specific and angry individual. Other than that though, doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can play any of the defensive Regalis pieces because you can't play any main Regalis piece because you have to play Distorted Vein as your order once per turn. So your only other options are either Unite the Sky or or Transfer, right, from last year's festival. Yeah, so that's really about all we can say about that. Alright, moving on to our grade 2s, our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we have Tiglat. That's from the right deck, so you already know her. And then for the rest of our grade 1s, we have 4 copies of Avarice Wrestler, who is our set 2 cycler for our orders. So this one's really obvious, it's just circles for Distorted Bane, nothing to describe there, it's just on place, discard 1, mill your deck for 1 order, and you can play it from the drop zone. Then because of regress of Distorted Bane, you can just play it directly and it doesn't go back to the deck. Okay, that's the entire explanation. 4 Perfect Guard is because we want to stay alive. Then we play a 3-3 split of Clockwise and Vasago.
Yes, so Sorcery Monarch Vasago is the cycler for this set. So actually this set cyclers to flag a better word, they're not really that good unless you play a certainly high amount of grade 3 plus units. So either you're a grade 4 deck, hello Mr. Drago Ignis, or you are a cross-right deck, hello Mr. Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion the Blood.
What?
But since we have, 4 Distorted Bane and 4 Anachronos, so Vasago makes sense. So what the cyclers on this set do is that continuous, if you don't have a G-Zone, this card is not vanilla. So if you have a G-Zone, I'm sorry, you don't need to buy this card.
No, Harri!
Then its first ability is Found Hand. You can discard this card if you have a grade 3 or plus Vanguard to remove 2 cards from your right deck. No, put 2 cards that were originally from your right deck back into your right deck. So it's the same as the Darkstace Cap. To look at the top 7 cards of your deck, you reveal up to 1 grade 3 or greater card from among them and put it into your hand. And if you did not reveal any card, then you get to add this card back to you get to add Vasago back to your hand from the drop. And the second ability is that auto, when your opponent attacks, if you have 4 or more soul, so every single version of this card in other nations all have this same condition, you have to have 4 or more something, 3 or more damage.
2 or more something.
2 or more something like that. So Vasago's effect is that you need to have 4 or more soul because your dark states. When this card is put into the Guardian Circle, then it gains 5k shield if you fulfill the condition of having 4 or more soul. Then if your opponent has a G-Zone, you get to choose a card from your drop zone that is grade 3 and you bind it to then give this card an additional 10k shield if your opponent has a G-Zone.
Yeah, so it's really good to hunt down, Harri and Shiranui. But again, this is just because we play a large number of grade 3s. I will probably do a video explaining all of the set 5 cyclers, so leave a comment in the comment section below if you'd like me to do that video. I can certainly talk about it, but yeah, that's really about it. Now for Mr. Clockwise.
Yeah, so Clockwise is a returning man from our Chronojet deck profile.
We never actually did a Chronojet video with him, so
okay.
You have to come back for Chronos Command.
Basically, if you've seen a modern Chronojet list, you probably know who this guy is. So he's drawn by Natsuki Izuka, so that's probably the biggest selling point.
King.
But his first skill is the same. This is the cycler from Festival Collection 2024. So all of their abilities are basically the same. Is that when they are placed on Red Circle, if you and your opponent are the same grade Vanguard, or your opponent has a higher grade Vanguard than you, then you get to do an effect and it gets 2k. So for Clockwise case, it's a mandatory soul charge, and then is it mandatory? Actually no, I think it's it's
mandatory.
Okay, it's a mandatory soul charge, and then it also gets 2000 power. So it's a 10k attacker on its own as well as a 10k booster. So it's pretty good.
Yep.
Then its second ability is the same for everything. Is that during your turn, when you would discard a card, and this card is in your drop zone, you can energy plus 3 and remove this card. So you remove it and then you add the discarded card back to your hand.
Yeah, the recently discarded card is bounced back.
Yeah, so basically it's just there to help negate any discard cost as well as, since our divine skill is discard 2, you can also negate that as well. Yeah. So Clockwise is basically just there to help ensure that we keep our pieces in our hand because this is a very, very piece reliant deck. And that's about it. So obviously, if you have Fila, if you have the spare $300 running around, then obviously don't play this card because you can play Shenri. Like, why would you not play Shenri? You can play Shenri. So, that choice is obvious, but so just play this card. So just know that Odium is definitely playable without Fila, but definitely Fila is the better option because it's Shenri.
Yeah, and that's also if you are in Japanese and you have it. If you're in English, then none of this makes sense to you. Yeah. Alright, moving on to our grade zeros. Our grade zeros, we obviously just play a starter.
Yeah.
And then following that, we also play 4 heal. We play 3 front mainly because we can't play draw, we'll deck out, and we need the numbers because Odium's a 3 attack deck, but it can tri-lane very easily, so the fronts help building a whiteboard. 8 crits because we want to kill our opponent as fast as possible. Goodbye Oni-chan. And then we play our over trigger. Why this one?
Because the purple OT mainly is because this deck is a Majesty Lord Blaster. You are always minusing a card from your front row Regal circle usually every single turn to the triple drive, which means you leave one circle open for the purple OT's offensive effect. But generally, the purple OT is obviously there because it's a heal. It's an unconditional heal one. Whenever if you manage to check it, obviously you check it early, then
too bad.
Well, but if you check it in the middle of the game, then it's an unconditional heal one without decking yourself out. Unlike like Blast Ball, which actually just like makes you heal a card and it draws a lot. This just takes a card from your damage zone and puts it into your hand. So let's say like you damage Distorted Bane, you damage the Perfect Guard, you damage Anachronous, and then the call is optional. Yeah. So purple OT it feels like it has very, very strong synergy with this deck, but I'm obviously not going to advocate that it's a must play because I would never say that because every nation has their own OT for a reason, and the generic OTs are just there for personal preference. So this is the personal preference to play Nyx, but if you want to play Galaman Gate, that's probably up to you. Take that Force 1, Force 2, just kill your opponent.
Galaman Gate.
Yes.
Alright, and that will wrap up our Liael Odium deck profile. So, all that being said, with how many times you have to redo this video, do you think this can kill Vaga?
No. But because it's still a very field reliant deck, but having your field nuked every single turn obviously is for any deck is gonna be a struggle, especially for a deck that is 3 attacks that is reliant on having a very big board to kill your opponent. And if Vaga goes first, then you obviously cannot then rely on having a board on turn 2 and turn 3, which means that this deck loses a lot of pressure. If you go first though, then I think this deck can definitely beat Vaga because you get to at least have the full board presence for two entire turns, whereas your Vaga opponent will be just trying to big hitter to get as many PGs as they can to their hand.
So let's change it up a bit. What if it's not Vaga? What if it's a normal opponent?
If it's a normal opponent, then this deck just mainly dies to early rush. It mainly dies to opponent figuring out that you have a very fake hand in the early game because you're just trying to have pieces. You're trying to set up your regress gauge. You have your turn 4 divine skill live, and if your opponent gets very wary of that divine skill, also they can just guard early. They can ensure that they are low damage so that when the divine skill turn finally counts, then if they hit even one or hit 2 defensives, then because you don't have a right phase during your extra turn, means you cannot persona right. It means that you lose a lot of power on that extra turn, and every single defensive your opponent hits probably means that you're not going to kill that turn. So you're just going to rip cards from their hand. And with the power level that this set has shown for majority of the decks like Levidras, like Vaga, even like some of the lower tier decks like Flamg and stuff like that, they got support this set, you will definitely be suffering very, very big damage if you let your opponent survive that turn. Yeah.
Okay, so all the best to you at the next WGP, and yeah, hope to see you around again. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
We are out of time.